Spider-Man 2 fast travel is impressive, there's no denying that. The load times in this game put other major 2023 releases to shame in both speed and polish, whether you look at Starfield, Forza, Jedi Fallen Order, you name it. The loading and fast travel performance of Spider-Man 2 was discussed in nearly every review and hailed as the future of gaming swinging into the here and now. However, as I watched this coverage and played the game for myself, my spidey sense kept tingling with this feeling that Spider-Man 2 loading is not the fastest I've seen on PS5, maybe not even close, and that's not just limited to fast travel. There's one game on the PS5 that still slashes Spider-Man 2's load times to pieces with a samurai sword. That's right, I'm talking about Ghost of Tsushima.
No mercy!
So in this video, we're going to examine in detail whether the samurai is faster than the spider. Please hit subscribe to support this content, and let's dive in. I think it's important to start with a recap of how fast travel actually works in Spider-Man 2. It's a very cool experience, but it also feels a little bit like smoke and mirrors to me in terms of loading times. As you play Spider-Man 2, you automatically unlock fast travel to different regions of the city as you complete X number of activities in that area. I actually enjoyed this mechanic. I think it encourages the player to do some activities and acts as another form of reward. Once you have unlocked fast travel for that area, you simply open up the map, move your cursor to wherever you want to go, and then hold down triangle. The cursor aligns you to the nearest street, which is a cool touch, while a brief loading bar confirms this choice, and then there's a super fancy zoom animation down into the map, which looks cool every time, and then a brief non-playable cutscene that shows Spider-Man swinging into the action. While I think this is a top-tier experience, I suspect it's also disguising loading during each part of this overall transition. I'm guessing the loading starts happening during your confirmation press and continues on through the zooming and swinging animations. I have no way to verify this, but even if this is not the case, the UI and animations still make the fast travel process more lengthy. I've clocked the average overall fast travel process time at around 7 seconds, which is not the same as instant travel or 1 second load times that have been hyped around. Obviously, this is still super impressive either way, and some of this is probably just by design as a cool experience, but I'm making a point that this is not exactly instant. Now, if you've watched other content on my channel, you'll know that Ghost of Tsushima is one of my favorite games in recent years, maybe of all time. Even though it was well received, I still think it's underrated in many ways. I'm looking at you, 83 Metacritic score. Anyway, Ghost of Tsushima had crazy fast load times even on the PS4 back in 2020. If we look at an example here on PS4, this game had 5 to 7 second load times across a huge open world on the original ancient disk drive, which is just crazy when you consider competing games at the time like Horizon Zero Dawn could take as long as 45 seconds. And this was one of the best looking games on the system. And technically, that overall process is still as fast as Spider-Man 2 on PS5. Well, with the Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut release on PS5, these load times were further reduced down to near zero. In fact, I would say this is still the closest we have to instant fast travel on PS5. Part of this is due to the simple UI and flow of fast travel in Ghost. Once you've opened up most of the map, you can simply open the menu, pick one of the many points of interest, and just press triangle to confirm, and then you're there. In some cases, this really is almost instant. There's usually a very brief cut to black for a second or two. I've clocked the average time at around between 2 and 3 seconds, usually closer to 2. Now, part of this is due to the fact that your character is controllable as soon as the screen starts to fade in. That means the overall fast travel process is actually over twice as fast as Spider-Man 2's 7-second average. In fact, just out of curiosity, I wanted to see if I could fast travel twice in Ghost in the time it takes to fast travel once in Spider-Man, and it turns out you actually can. Sometimes almost 3 times. It's hard to get this exact answer due to minor variability, but the fact that we're even having this discussion is truly impressive stuff. Interestingly, Ghost also loads much faster in pretty much every other scenario as well, beyond just fast travel. For example, Loading from the main menu into the game is actually significantly faster in Ghost, as you can see here. In fact, it's about twice as fast again, and this was tested multiple times and always faster. Even more interestingly, Ghost is also significantly faster in terms of a cold start time from the PS5 home screen. In fact, the time it takes to get from the PS5 home screen into the playable game is almost twice as long for Spider-Man 2 again, on average after multiple tests. Ghost was usually between 11 and 12 seconds, whereas Spider-Man was between 20 and 22. I thought this was interesting again because Ghost is a PS4 game by design. Yes, it received a formal re-release on PS5, but it's not like they changed the core game architecture just for a minor visual bump and some DLC. It's interesting that this original game was designed in such a scalable way. Now, some might argue that obviously Spider-Man 2 is still way more impressive because it has much more detailed assets to load in, higher res textures, higher polygon models, further draw distance, etc. And those are certainly valid considerations. Again, this game is also extremely impressive. However, you do also have to remember that Ghost allows you to fast travel between a very diverse set of environments, whether it's a snow-covered mountain or muddy swamps, all with impressive draw distances of its own, and was also one of the best looking PS4 games. And again, Ghost's loading system was originally designed for the archaic 5400 RPM PS4 drive, yet they've managed to make it seamlessly scale to the PS5 SSD. Some people might just take this as a given, but that's not always the case. There are plenty of PS4 games that were re-released to PS5 or cross-gen that still have very long or only slightly improved loading times. Sucker Punch obviously designed this very efficiently. Now again, none of this is to take away from what Spider-Man 2 has accomplished. The fast travel system is super cool and smooth, and in terms of overall experience, it's probably my favorite fast travel system ever. It has a flashiness and a cool factor you'd hope for from the PS5 in 2023. However, I just feel like Ghost deserves way more credit for what it accomplished back in 2020 on the original PS4 and in 2021 as an early PS5 re-release scaled up. There was some hype around this feature when it launched, but not to the degree we've seen with Spider-Man. I'm curious to see what Sucker Punch Studios is able to do with the inevitable sequel to Ghost whenever it finally hits PS5. Please hit those subscribe and like buttons, and I'll see you next time.